Assembling the floor is really easy. There are 4 pieces. There are 2 larger pieces here that you put in the middle. They snap together and then you put a number of screws along the joint there which holds everything together. Putting the floor together is a really simple task. It's a one-person job, and to be honest, most of the build actually is a one-person job. Having a second pair of hands though is handy. You'll see me here putting the 3rd piece of the flooring on, and it just snaps into the center too, and you add some more screws. I then just had to recenter the floor on my paper base. Assembling the sides could not be easier. You start in the back left corner and it just slots right into the floor like so, and then you bring in the back panel and it slots in to the piece you put on first and then into the floor. It's a little bit hard there, you had to pull down a little bit as the floor was giving way a little bit, but we sorted that out, and then you just work your way around, repeating on each corner and each side. The sides are held together with a little pin like this, so you put a black spline in the middle and then a horseshoe pin goes between them to hold them together. You then repeat this on the other corner and you can keep on building out the panel the same way. It goes together really quickly. It took us about a couple hours to do the entire build and it was a little bit windy. The back panel here was actually a little bit tricky because you had to be on both sides, so this is where having a second person does make it a little bit easier, but it's the same method. Slot it into the base and then put the black spline in and the horseshoe clips to hold it together. This is where being a little bit taller comes in handy to put on the gable. You just have to slot this in, add the 4 screws along the side and the horseshoe clip that goes next to the black spline that's there. Next, you just need to follow the instructions and assemble the trusses, which then just slot in perfectly into the 2 gaps, one on each side, and then you're on to the roof. When the roof is the tricky part and where the second person is a must. What you need to do is put the roof panel on, but leave it a little bit low, push it into the gable, and then you have to push it up at an angle to lock it into place. This end panel here was really difficult. This is the panel that folds over the top of the peak of the shed. You have to hold it in against the gable and it's slightly bowed, so you have to have 2 people kind of pulling down on it and pushing up. So you have to exert a little bit of force, but having a ladder outside definitely makes it easier. For building this shed, it was really easy with 2 people. We did it on a slightly windier day and we had no issue at all getting everything on. The only slight tricky bit is the roof up top, and technically you could probably build this on your own without any help. You just need some help for the roof's quality going on here. It is much better than the wooden sheds I looked at Home Depot and the Arrow metal sheds I found at Lowe's. This is by far a much better product. Everything fitted together perfectly. I had no questions at all about how to put it together. Instructions were really clear. The only issue we did have was this roof section over here. So would I buy it again, or would I recommend it? Yes, I would. How it holds up after a couple of years of use of putting a riding lawnmower in there, we don't know. Could also be a problem with the base as well that we need to monitor. But for now, I'm very happy with this shed. These stones were probably not the best idea for me to put this shed on. It is a little bit temporary right now, so I'm okay with that. But if you look here, it's actually fairly solid, but there are spots that are a little bit soft, like here. And then over here, there's a really soft spot, like that, where it's going down around about ½ an inch. So I'm going to want to sort that before I actually start putting my lawnmower in here. I do like to give things a shake test just to make sure they're shake proof. But as you can see, the shed is actually fairly solid, and you can do it all the way up. Push on it, and even when you close the door, the door's a little bit flimsy, but that's because it's got nothing really supporting it. So I'm really happy with how secure the shed is. Obviously, if someone wanted to break in, they could easily break in, but it's not going to get blown away in the wind.